I am so pleased to be working with Austin Pedal Cars on this project. Their help and support along the way is going to be so helpful. If you have got a pedal car or you're restoring one yourself and you need any parts for it at all, click on the link in the description below, visit their website and you'll be amazed. They've put a huge amount of effort into reproducing anything you could ever need for these beautiful little pedal cars. Let's get into the video. This little J40, it's been hanging on the wall in the workshop for years. It was a lovely thing that Austin did where they employed ex-miners that had sort of, a lot of them got lung conditions and horrible things happened to them. This one is 1965, I think, or early 60s. Part of the reason why they're so iconic is they have a race at Goodwood Revival, the Setrington Cup, and it's so competitive. It's awesome. Let's blast away all of this rust and paint and we'll see what we're really working with. I'm very nervous. I am genuinely nervous about this. I knew it was going to be bad, but this sucks.
Well, there's a lot of guesswork now.
Got the first piece of the long side, and once this is in place, it's going to start coming together. Why do I have to do this?
Well, you just take over, didn't you?
A good effort, John. Well done.
Okay.
Next time, we'll nail it. Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Thanks for joining us again. We are back in the workshop, working on the pedal car, as you've already seen. But I wanted to start the video with some good news. Actually, two bits of good news. After so many positive comments, last week's video where we had a look around Retrotech and I actually got my Liberty AERO engine, it's done really well, so thank you to everybody that watched it, and hello again to all of the new subscribers. We've got loads more people subscribed, which I really do appreciate. Everyone seems very positive about the Liberty engine, which I'm very pleased about. But look what I've managed to find already. A distributor cap. Ignition parts like this are what I'm missing, which is stopping me from having all the bits I need to get it running. I've got one, I need two, and this one is incomplete. The fact that this has just turned up in the post made me think I never really gave you a proper look around the engine. So we're going to start this episode with a quick look around the engine. This is the distributor. So there's actually two of these. And you can see the shaft in the middle that opens and closes the points. They're driven off of like the sort of lobes on here. There's 6 lobes on that middle and 2 opposing pair of points, which gives you the 12. So they're both sparking together. That's why there's 2 condensers. Everything's doubled up. Must have had something different, maybe something more waterproof that fitted on there, part of the marine conversion, because there's nowhere near enough room here with this massive water-cooled exhaust in the way. I'm wondering if these might be missing, because interestingly, the original distributor cap doesn't actually fit because it hits this exhaust. It hits here. So I'm wondering if this had different distributor caps. In there is the cam. It's overhead cam, and on this side it's exactly the same. Another distributor and another cam. So you can see the cam will be in there, and then there's access covers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of those each side to gain access inside. These little access covers are all good, apart from this one I've noticed is cracked. That's not great news. It looks like it's made of cast aluminium, which I'll have a go at trying to weld back together. I might be able to use that as a pattern to cast a new one, machine it how I need to, but I'll try and weld that one up first of all. That's another job that I'm going to have to do fairly early on to try and get this running. Right, so this side I'm missing all of the intake manifolds, the carbs, all of that has gone. This bit here is what's left of the carb linkage, and these little aluminium sort of flanges are what's left of the inlet manifold. They've been smashed off, and on these last 2 barrels I've actually lost the steel sort of flange as well, which is not great. These are pressed steel. There's like there's a steel tube inside where the piston runs up and down, and then this is like a pressed steel outer that is a water jacket. So this pipe down the bottom is pushing water in or out, whichever way it's going, in and around the barrel and up to the head, up to the sort of head essentially. It's all integral, all in one. Each combustion chamber has got 2 spark plugs. I know that in aviation that is a thing, having 2 of everything in case one fails. But I've also heard that because these combustion chambers are so big, they need a spark either side to ignite the fuel efficiently. How true that is, I don't know. But that's what I've heard someone say. So hey, who am I to question that? All the actual rocker gear is exposed, completely exposed. So it's her oil will be, yeah, they'll all need oiling. The cam bearings inside there will be oiled by the engine internally, I hope anyway. But these points, I think, is going to rely on manual oiling as it's running by me with an oil can. So it's all exposed. It's pretty cool. The other side of the engine, you can see a bit more of the setup that Garwood converted it for his marine, for the boats. 2 inlet manifolds, each one feeding 3 pistons. There would have been 2 more of these carbs on the other side. Each carb is, I think they're the original carbs from what I can work out, an updraft Zenith, I think they are, which is quite cool to have. Yep, they are Zenith carbs. Detroit. How cool is that? So this is what I really like about the Liberty engine. It's quite modular. Same as the Hall Scott. The barrel, valves, rocker, all of that, the kind of top end, the whole lot, other than the crank, the case, all of the top end stuff is modular. And they made this engine in various different formats, the V12 being the biggest one, but they did 6s and 8s, V8s, inline 4s, inline 6s. They did all the different variations because you basically add or remove 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on how many you want. They even did one, I think, where they bolted another one of this setup underneath. So it was a 24, but that's a bit big for me. The more I'm looking over this engine, the more stampings and numbers I'm finding all over it. So I hope once we start digging and taking it apart, it'll become clear. I've been told it's 1917 from Guy, and I believe him. I don't doubt him. He will have had that information from somewhere. He wouldn't have just made it up. Knowing what they're like there at Retrotech, there would have been that would be a factual bit of information. I just need to find it. Garwood also had his own plaques, but that's unfortunately missing off the front because there's a hole there now, which is like either an access or a pickup or a takeoff or something on the front of the case, which is capped off. So someone's taken that off to gain access to that port or make that port. It's had a life, but I quite like it. I quite like the marine history to it. I know Garwood plaques are available at reproduction ones, so it might be quite nice to get one of those. To be honest, the brass plaque is the least of my worries at the moment. Anyone out there that has got any ignition parts for a Liberty, let me know. I need another one of these. All the bolts that go on, the nuts that go on the ends. There's a coil on the inside. Give us a hand. Get in touch. A few of you have been in touch, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much. Don't worry, I'm not getting distracted by the Edwardian project and the AERO engine. That's all sitting there. I've got it. It's safe. It's in the workshop. It can sit up the end. Whilst I gather parts, it's going to take months and months to find bits, gather bits. I'm still waiting for my book with all the information and literature in it. As I find bits and as I can afford bits, I'll be piecing them together, and we'll start a little pile in the corner of the workshop. But we do need to get on with the pedal car. This is the second piece of good news. Work has been progressing. In between filming the repair shop on the road, make it at market, and all these other videos along the way, I have been plugging away on the pedal car, and I'm very pleased to say I've got one side finished. Thank goodness for that. All the return flanges, the bottom of the headlight, it's all done. There's a few weld marks, but we need to sort of grind down and dress and sort of planish into shape. It needs a little bit of bodywork, but I've got one whole side completely done. And the other side is not far behind. So as a treat for getting one side finished, I thought I'd have a break from welding and metalwork, and it is so hot, the hottest day of the year. I do not really want to be welding. So I thought I'd get down from the shelves all of the mechanical parts, have a look what I've got, assess what I've got, make a list of what I need, and all of these parts are going to need stripping, blasting, potentially repairing, so I can actually start thinking about the mechanical stuff and have a bit of a break from grinding and welding and making panels. Let's have a look at all the mechanical parts of the pedal car. When I first got this pedal car, all this stuff came with it. Minus a set of wheels, because I found those separately later. I've gradually sort of been keeping an eye, trying to find bits here and there. But most of this, pretty much all of it, came with the car, and it's original to the car. The actual seat structure, these grey pieces, they would originally have been painted yellow. As far as I'm aware, no matter what colour the car is, they were always yellow. And it's an Austin colour that they painted the full-size cars in. These two are original to the car and in good condition. They need stripping, sanding down, repainting. There's wood on the back which is nailed to the steel, and the upholstery gets pulled over and nailed or stapled to the wood. So there's another job to get these pieces stripped, primed, painted yellow. I'll make new pieces of sort of timber to sit in there, which will probably be ash, and that is essentially the seat structure done. There's two clips which are missing. They're riveted onto the frame. They are snapped off, but they should kind of carry on, go round the wood, round the back, and clip in to the bottom of the back of the sort of seat structure area. They hold it in place. You kind of clip the top in and then push the bottom in, and then the base goes down and screws down. On the underside of the base of the seat is a linkage for the handbrake mechanism. There's a lever with a rod and then another bar, then a strap almost that goes around the drum. All these bits are related to the handbrake. Most of it's here. The sort of strap for the brake pad essentially needs relining, but it's here. It looks okay. Bit bent out of shape and kind of damaged, but nothing we can't fix. The pedal assembly is probably the best bit. That's all there. It's complete. It looks really nice. It's all nice and straight. Yes, there's bits of surface rust, which means I'll have to strip it all down. Everything's going to be stripped completely, primed and painted. But the pedal assembly looks good. The front axle, not so great. It's there, it's original, which is nice to have. And there's also rust to contend with, needs a bit of welding underneath. One of the brackets that bolts it to the body has been re-welded on in the past in the wrong place, so it's slightly wonky, which is a bit of a nightmare. Luckily, I've got my fixture, my sort of jig, so I can actually use that to make sure this is nice and straight. And then I've got the wheels to deal with. So I got 4 wheels with it. One of them, the original red ones, completely, I don't know how it's actually gone this rusty. It's incredible how rusty that is. And then on eBay, a set of 4 popped up. I feel like they might be off of a Pathfinder because they haven't got the brackets for the hubcaps. But Austin Pedal Cars are reproducing these tyres, which I'm so pleased about, because up until now, the only option has been like modern tread looking. I think they're off of a pram or something like that, or a mobility scooter or something odd, but they look a bit modern. And the last time I spoke to Austin Pedal Cars, they were starting to reproduce these beautiful Dunlop balloon tyres. So I really hope that I'm able to get a set of 4 brand new tyres from Austin Pedal Cars. Tyres, tubes, and they actually sell pre-made tabs with the nut, the captive nut in it, literally ready to go. I'm going to be probably replacing every nut and bolt and washer because I'm missing most of them, and the ones that I have got, like the studs on the end of these, like the hubs, this like triangle section is essentially the hub that the wheel bolts to. There's bearings inside there which need to be replaced, and then these threaded bits sticking out are for the wheel to bolt to, and these threads are all a bit worn and a bit tired and rusty. By the time I've cleaned them off, they're going to be a bit knackered, so I think I'm going to be replacing a lot of the nuts and bolts of the whole thing. But I'm so pleased that I've got the structure. All the bits are here. So I think the best thing I can do is strip all of this down to its bare components. I've got exploded diagrams of how this all goes back together, so I'm not too fussed about that at all, but this is a lot less daunting than the rest of the bodywork, because that is a whole other world, and I want this pedal car to look nice. The mechanical side of it, I'm pretty confident we'll be okay with, especially with John's help. Once we've got the shell back together, we can bolt all these bits in place, make sure it's all working. But we've got a bit of stripping and dismantling to do first.
Quickly penetrates rusted and corroded parts. That's exactly what we need.
Right, let me spray all of these parts with this, let it soak overnight. I'll come back in the morning, let's see how well this performs. Hopefully all these nuts and bolts will come undone. Good morning. Let's hope that the WD-40 penetrant has done its job overnight and loosened up all these bits for me. one bent bolt. I feel like that's probably going to need replacing. That's where the bearings are. Again, I think they'll be replaced. I know for a fact that these bearings are always worn out and wobbly, and Austin pedal cars actually offer a replacement press-in sealed cartridge bearing, like a modern equivalent basically of this. That might be a good route to go down. The J40 that I restored on the repair shop a few years ago, I did exactly that and replaced all the bearings for their cartridge bearings, and they were really nice. They fit really nicely, and they're just sealed and don't wobble around like these originals that are worn out. So on this side, the bearing is on the hub, because this one, the wheel just spins on the axle. This axle, the hub is bolted to it, so it's one wheel drive. So it only drives from the left-hand wheel. This wheel is, the bearings are in there, so it's just for completely free spinning. That is so that the car can actually turn corners. If both of the back wheels were driving, when you try to turn a corner, the inside wheel is trying to turn, will need to turn less than the outside wheel, and it will just cause problems and start binding up. So the right-hand rear wheel is just free spinning. All the drive from you pedaling goes to the back left-hand wheel. Little interesting fact there for you. This one is stuck. Right, so I've managed to get one of the pedals off there, which was a fight. This one is completely seized on. There's like a sleeved tube over a rod that should pivot, but it's completely seized up. But this one came off, which has allowed me to gain access here, inside there. Got some more bearing, more needle bearings. And that is so that when you're pedaling, this is a sort of spinning pivot point there. That's one of the sort of drive rods removed. This one, unfortunately, is a bit damaged. That rod is welded on to that sort of bearing holder, and it is cracked, bent, and about to snap off. Look at that. So that is gonna need some welding. I can only assume that this was pressed or welded in place after. It's got like a kind of sort of flange there. I can only assume that was put on either before this was bent, or it was slid on, sort of wiggled on in pieces, then spot welded together in situ, because there is no way that's coming off. That's super tight onto the main axle. That is also super tight onto the main axle. There's no way it's going to wiggle around there, so that is staying on there. I've got the bolt out though, so I can replace the bolt, because that's a bit, a bit worn. The inner diameter of that tube is slightly bigger than the outer diameter of this bar, and so it should pivot. This one came off fine. This one is completely stuck. And obviously it's had some kind of trauma, because it's a bit bent. It's split and cracked there. The weld's broken under there. This pedal is not in a very good state. But to be able to fix it, I need to get it off. And that tube has fused to this piece of bar. So I'm going to heat this up that will get that hot, that will expand, and hopefully by that expanding will break the bond between that and the bar, and it should slide out. I think we'll be able to fix that. That should be okay. It's coming apart and it's all looking all right, but there's a lot of work. Every little bit that's coming off needs something doing to it. Like, you know, whether it's studs replacing or bits bent, bits damaged, bits worn, you know, bits like this kingpin, just it's there and it's all right, but it's just a bit too rusty. A lot of bits to clean up. The job list is growing, and I tell you what, the shopping list for Austin pedal cars is also growing. Split pins, washers, even like this one that I've just taken out, they're all very, very specific. They sort of sandwich between pieces and sort of space things off. Austin pedal cars have all of them. So you don't have to, you know, rummage around Screwfix and other hardware stores trying to find replacement washers, because that is not just a normal washer. It's the ID and the OD are very specific for these pedal cars. And Austin pedal cars have taken all of the hard work out. And they've got everything available, even down to the split pins. You can just go on their website and order all of the split pins you need for the rear axle. It's going to make this, it's too easy. I've had a wrestle with the tyres, and I've got 4 really good rims. Actually really, really nice. I'm so pleased that I found these. Almost every single piece needs some kind of welding or straightening and sorting and you know, fixing. I'm going to get everything stripped back to bare metal, then I can really see what I'm actually working with, make any repairs that I need to. You know, the studs that hold the wheels on, I think they're brazed in place. I need to heat those up and get those out, put some new studs in. The pedals need straightening and welding. The seat needs the wooden pieces making. There's a lot more to do, but if I get all of these pieces blasted, then I can just plug away when I've got some time, just get each little component ready and painted and done. All this is going to be gloss black. I'm going to paint it gloss black. It's going to look beautiful, apart from the seat base, which is going to be yellow. And then we can start rebuilding it. So with the goal being that I've got all of the running gear painted black there, ready to go, all the nuts and bolts, all rebuilt, done. So as soon as the body is sort of in prime and ready to go, we can actually offer bits up. So as soon as the body is painted, we can just fit these pieces on and we'll be there. That's the plan anyway. This is almost like a separate project, having all of the mechanical pieces sort of going on in the background whilst I'm working on that other long side, which I'll carry on doing. This afternoon, I'm getting on a flight up to Scotland for a few days to film Repair Shop on the Road. So I think I'm kind of done. There's almost not enough time to get stuck into anything else until I'm back. Which is hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be Sunday or Monday. So I'll be back here in the workshop. Maybe I'll have some of these pieces stripped by then, so then I can start on the repairs. Who knows at this point? Let's get Scotland done first. I will spend my time in my hotel this week, putting a shopping list together with Austin pedal cars for all the little bits and bobs and nuts and bolts that I need. Get these pieces blasted as soon as I can and stripped. And we're getting there. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Fingers crossed, I'm trying my best to get this pedal car done for revival. That would be a goal. I would love to, I mean, God, what's that, beginning of September? I've only got 4 weeks. It's probably a bit ambitious, to be honest. Probably not going to happen. But let's try and get as close as we can. Massive thank you again to all of the team at Austin Pedal Cars for your continued support. Show them your support if you've got a pedal car. Have a look at their website. They've got everything you need. I'll see you next week. Who knows what am I doing next week? I don't even know. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Make sure you've given us a thumbs up and please subscribe. See you next week. Bye-bye.